2, 1. Thank you, everybody. I know everyone has had a busy week and a busy Thursday. Thank you for coming on with us. This is Mr. Cohen, and I don't know what that means, Chris, but you're showing up on the screen twice, whatever that means. So he has presented to us before. This is the development that wanted to go straight across from Thomas Edison, and was talking about doing some money to public works to help with the roads in that area. He also wanted to do something on Murfreesboro Road. There was still conversation on that. We hadn't finished, so I know someone was like, well, why are we meeting again? Because the conversation wasn't finished, and I want to give you a chance to talk and say what you want and what you don't want. I've asked him to open it up to hear from you all first. And then if there are questions about someone who didn't see what he was thinking about doing, you all can do that. But I am going to do that, turn that over. I don't know if I'm turning it over to him or you all, because I do want you all to talk to him, especially those that were on there before, that remember remember the questions and things that you had for him about the different traffic calming, the different improvements that he could do, those type of things, and the impact on the school and all of that, to get some more conversation about that. And then this is going to run till 7 o'clock, and I promise we're going to wrap it up fast. And if you all need to meet again, then we will do that. But I do want the conversation from you all. So I'm glad you made it back, Tawana. I am going to turn it over now. You can kind of talk a little bit, Chris, for those who may not have been on there before, so you know where the area is and how much you want to put there. Then I would like to hear from the district folks on what they would like to see there, or what needs to be changed. Your information was sent out before, so they have that. They should have questions about that. So I am going to get off now and thank you and listen to you all.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember Leave. I'm going to share my screen, and this should help everybody get refamiliarized with the area. Hopefully everybody can see that. We actually have 2 parcels of land under contract in District 33. The one that I think we're going to spend the most time on this evening is 6103 Mountain View Road, across from Edison Elementary. As Ms. Lee said, we spoke with y'all some in March and hit some of the highlights. So I don't want to, in the interest of time, I'm going to try and run through that real quick, just to get everybody refamiliarized, and then try to get into a lot of the questions and some positive things I believe that the development can bring to the area. The property is, our proposal is, here's the proposed land plan. It's 46 single family homes, 68 townhomes. Those are the darker color buildings that you see on this. The property owned agricultural. However, this piece, the eastern or the northern side of it, is zoned R8, which 27 single family detached residents could go on that property just on a straight zoning case. I mean, from a straight zone perspective. And excuse me, I'm Chris Cowan, the Vice President of Land Development for Meritage Homes. We're a residential development and home building company that have this piece of property under contract. We don't own it yet. We wouldn't own it unless we thought we could achieve a plan similar to what we have before you here tonight. All these units would be for sale. We are not in the rental business. We understand that that's, especially in today's market, that's a sensitive subject, and we've certainly done things in on our past projects through the covenants and restrictions on the property to limit the rentals in any of our communities. One of the things, as Councilmember Lee said, we understand as developers coming into a community that there's always a lot of questions. The high points are always, traffic and schools, especially here from Middle Tennessee, and the extreme growth that we're all experiencing for this area. So we've worked with planning on this plan. It hasn't gone to planning commission or anything like that. It's just something we wanted to get, certainly get their feedback and understand from a planning department, what they would require. That typically always includes some level of roadway improvements, just to offset our basic impact. And thinking about that and going a little further, we reached out to Public Works, knowing that the intersection of Hamilton Church and Mountain View is really underserved right now. Just 2 lanes each way, nothing there, and it's a high volume road without this development. So spent quite a bit of time with Public Works, just inquiring about what is Metro Nashville's plan for this intersection. And they shared with us that they do have a plan that will widen each of the 4 spokes or legs of it, if you will, to add an additional 3rd lane, which would be a left turn lane movement from whichever direction you were driving from. And then also it add a traffic light. We asked, okay, well, and they've shared those plans with us, and we understand how our particular side of the property would play into that. But we went deeper in the question of, okay, well, where is this? Are you about to do it? Is it on the horizon? Do you have the funding for it? Just trying to understand where the project really was. It's our understanding after spending the time with Public Works that they do have it drawn, it's engineered. They are going through some right-of-way acquisition exercises now. Some of that would come from our project if the project were to move forward. But funding-wise, they did not feel that they had the full funding for the project. So Councilmember Lee and I have kind of shared the same thing with her, and as a part of developing in the community and again, at a bare minimum offsetting our impact, but hopefully trying to make the overall situation better. We feel like that what was suggested to us was if the project were to move forward, there could be language written in the bill, the rezoning bill, that would require property and potentially our other property that is on Murfreesboro Pike to contribute a specific amount of money towards these roadway improvements or to another public works improvement needed in this district, rather than it just going into a general fund for all of Metro Nashville to be not necessarily spent in this district. Public Works is, the last conversation I had, they feel like the shortfall is in the neighborhood of about $400,000. Our one project here at 6103, I don't think that is, it can't support that type of burden on it. But as in the other property that's on Murfreesboro Pike, just a few miles away, that's something that, between the 2 projects we've been looking at of, can we help make up that shortfall that gets Public Works the funding for them to be able to press the go button on their project, if bills were introduced that included language that required these projects to contribute to those to this specific intersection improvement. We've inquired about other potential or Metro Public Works projects that are sort of on the shelf, or anything that's close to, we all know there's lots of needs, but they've got to engineer them, design them, and put them in their ranking order. They did not offer to us any other ones that were near as close to the starting gate as this Hamilton Church and Mountain View intersection improvement. But we're certainly open to that as well. You know, if in speaking with Public Works and, you know, with the community, with the folks that are on here. But, you know, I think there, you know, that is one of the things that as we continue to dig deeper with Metro Planning and Metro Public Works, that we felt like, you know, as an opportunity to finally, you know, get something done meaningful, you know, in this district at this specific intersection that could be attached to the two projects through language in a rezoning bill. I think that's the only thing we really didn't cover in March. So I will step aside here and be open for any questions, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Hi, Chris, would you please review the changes between this presentation and the previous one?
There no changes. The matter of fact, Rosie asked me to send anything that, you know, any new information, and I just asked her to use the same that we had at the previous. So unit count, there have been no changes. I don't think, you know, based on our last meeting, I'm not sure that we got deep enough in kind of the comment period for us to really have a good takeaway of anything to change. So this is the what's before you now is the same as we had in March.
Councilwoman, did you want us to ask our questions directly, or are you gonna field any of the questions that are in chat?
That's what I was looking. I was trying to look through there and see. It's kind of hard to get that. If you all have questions directly, I would say do that. I would ask though, because I see 4 in the chat now. Let me open that up. I would ask though that the same person not keep asking and talking, that we give a chance for others as well. So let's see this. And Chris, I'm going to tell you while you're talking, if you can look at the chat too to see if there's some questions. Disruptive to the bodies of water, the contaminating these. Okay. Somebody said before it was 45 units and now it is 46. Are the numbers changing?
No, man, it's the same units. It's 46 single family and 68 townhomes.
Okay, and somebody was saying that we brought up numerous issues the last time and that were problematic, and there are no changes. So I will say to you that that is why you are on here, to ask questions and say what you want, instead of just saying, okay, it's the same, this is a problem. Then say out loud why it's a problem, so we can look at that. And if you have some changes or some things that you think would help, please do say that as well, besides just asking questions. I agree with Tawana. Please
if we bring the issues up again and he just comes back and doesn't make any changes, it's not going to be, it's going to be difficult to make progress. The issues that I see are the same ones as last time, which was too much density in the single family. Chris, you opened up the conversation this evening saying that there would be some benefit to the community, but adding housing density to an already overburdened infrastructure isn't beneficial to us. So I would like to hear how you see a benefit to the community, especially when you look at the widening of Mount View Road. That means you're going to lose, what, 50 feet, maybe 20 to 50 feet, which is going to make the backyards on that side even less existent than they are. So I don't want to keep going. Everybody has questions, but I would like to have heard some changes from last time. Thank you.
And let me add this, Chris, because I was just looking at somebody that said they were concerned about the access being right across from Edison Elementary School. Feels like that increases the problem. So I guess this person is saying one thing that should not be is the access right there. So Tawana, I know he's bringing some of the same things, but one thing that I wanted, hopefully, that you all would give him things that need to change. Like, for instance, that about the access. Not saying that it's gonna go and it's still gonna pass, but saying that if you have some specifics, instead of just listening to him, say what needs to be changed, not what's the problem, that this needs to be changed, if that makes sense.
It does.
Go ahead,
It
her
does.
other question, Chris, I'm sorry.
Yes, so I got the chat opened here. So Tawana, to a couple of your comments, in the plans that I've seen for the widening, the majority of the right-of-way acquisition is happening opposite us. We have a little sliver in the radius there in the corner of Hamilton and Mountain View. So the right-of-way is already there, other than some grading easements. So they're not taking 50 feet. There may be some areas that they're taking about 20, but it's split between both sides. The density, to the benefit to the community, is the roadway improvements that have not happened. The ability for us to contribute to a project, a specific project that is drawn and designed by Metro that they want to do, but do not have the money to do. So I think it's a give and take piece. There's got to be, we certainly have, if we drastically reduce the density, then we can't, the opportunity to contribute is not as great. And then therefore, maybe the project does not, the roadway improvements don't happen. And these are just conversations that I've had with Public Works, over the last several months. So I think that's, we heard the comments in the initial meeting, but as getting deeper into the potential to help get the Mountain View and Hamilton Church improvements to the finish line and started for the community, that's the benefit that I'm referring to.
Chris, let me stop right quick. Chris, I'm sorry, but the chat keeps going up and I can't see the stuff. So let me holler in right quick. So please don't forget where you were. Somebody was saying about the look. We had talked about making sure that they were either all brick or rock, something like that. So talk about that. Talk about they want would rather backload garages where it is appropriate and set in other garages so that you won't be out. And it was a comment that you would have to make a contribution anyway because you have to do part of that road improvement. Now I know, so talk about the contribution you were talking about, because that had nothing to do with the road improvement that you would have had to do with Metro. So talk about that, and then that money, that Edison. Okay, so I'll stop for those.
Okay. So the contribution, Metro Nashville does not have a road impact fee. So there's no set number per lot that any developer, residential, commercial, or any other type, has to contribute. We would have to potentially, well, the widening that occurs along our frontage, we would have to do that likely, but it's that doesn't help the community if Metro still doesn't have the money for the traffic light and the widening of the other four spokes. At $400,000 shortfall, our little bit of widening on our side is not worth $400,000, and that's not going to get a full intersection improvement, including a traffic light. So yes, we would likely have to do some of the widening that's adjacent to our property, but I don't think that gets a full intersection improvement, and that's what is needed here to relieve some of the things that everybody is concerned about. The access across from Edison Elementary, We drew it there because our engineering team and many times municipal engineering teams, they want to see roads opposing each other and not slightly staggered. I'm not a traffic engineer, but if the Metro Public Works engineering team and all the traffic consultants, if they felt like that was a negative, then we would move it at that time. Typically what we see is that they want roads directly across from each other and not shortly staggered. And then in particular with the intersection of Hamilton Church and Mountain View just down the road, you go throw another intersecting road in there, and that could make things worse. But whatever the engineers on both our side and Metro side and the traffic professionals say about what is the ideal, if a development goes here, what is the ideal road alignment? We will follow suit with that.
The beginning of that is already zoned for multifamily, correct?
No, ma'am. This
where you want the
side,
townhouses.
No, the townhouses is still zoned agricultural. What we show is single family in the lighter yellow adjacent to the existing neighborhood. And I'm sorry, I went blank on is Maple Timber, where we connect back. That is the portion of the property that's currently zoned R8, and based on that base zoning, could have up to 27 lots there, and that could be done in no roadway improvements, since Metro doesn't have a road impact fee, and that piece of the property doesn't abut Mountain View or Hamilton Church. There would be no roadway improvements and have potentially 27 additional lots, and not saying that it couldn't be stopped, but a straight zone piece of property is, they're kind of tough to not allow to get all the way through the cycle. Somebody asked about rear loaded garages. We have that facing Mountain View and Hamilton Church, or I guess on our Mountain View piece, all the units that face out there are rear load. So from the main drives or from those two main intersections, you will see the fronts of homes. And then we've got, it transitions back into more traditional front loaded stuff in the interior of the community.
Melissa has been up quite a while, I think, trying to get in.
Yeah,
I'm
hi.
sorry, Melissa, we're not raising hands, so just go on and say,
Oh,
excuse me. And go
okay,
ahead.
you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I just wanted to give a little comment. I know Ms. Lee has these meetings for all of us to tell her what we think, if we want this or not. I personally do not want this. I travel through Mount View all the time and Hamilton Church, and it's just very busy, and it just can't support anything else. So a plain yes or no, I think that's what Ms. Lee wants to hear from us too. If yes or no, and I don't support it. So maybe they can buy another property somewhere else where they have bigger roads, and then come back later when Metro or the city creates the streets, then you come back and then you can build. But right now we can't support it. Thank you.
Thank you for your input, Melissa.
On the architecture, we brick and hardy siding is what we would be proposing, and that would be something that could be written into the SP as a requirement, so that so that is a part of the project.
Hey, can I jump in for a second? You guys hear me okay? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so I've heard several conversations and several comments regarding the overall benefit. And I've also heard Councilwoman Lee state kind of what we want to see change. And so if we're looking for solutions, one of the solutions I would suggest is why build houses? There are other things that you can build: community centers for kids, resource centers for families in the district. And so housing solution, not just for my statement, but also for my other constituents on the call, it does not work for this area. There are many things that has been promised that has not lived up to expectations for Antioch. And so when we talk about solutions and things that we can have to offer, we say no to homes, but we also say yes to community resource centers. And I haven't heard any benefit that your development will bring this area as it relates to traffic, and also we still haven't even addressed schools. So that's my comment as it relates to this development.
Chris, talk a little bit about that,
I
because,
think
well, we just heard you, so so that's still on. You and I had a conversation about if you could do we talked about some type of center where kids could come and do different things, or a nice restaurant. So talk a little bit about that conversation.
Yes, ma'am. So we have on the other property, so just, to the gentleman's comment earlier, our business is residential, development and construction. So I really can't speak to, that's just our business, not saying that, somebody else, wouldn't do a community center here or anything like that, but that's just not our line of business. But we do have on our, I'm switching screens here, again, along the lines of trying to provide back to the community, and I understand many of you don't feel there's any anything in residential, as I'm reading the comments, that can provide positive back to the community. We're talking about traffic improvements on this side, and then this other blue parcel is another piece of property we have in the district. We also have about it's a 5-acre parcel that's on Hamilton Church Road under contract that we really, it does not work for us as a development piece of property. We needed it in case for some utility work if the projects were to proceed. And one thing I mentioned as we've kind of continued to hear feedback, that is a piece of property that we would be open to discussions with Metro about effectively donating for some kind of public use. Now, I can't, we don't build community centers, we don't build public works centers, we don't build public safety centers, but I know when we had the community meeting back in December for the 3124 Murfreesboro Pike property, several of the comments related about increased police presence, potentially a satellite Metro PD office. And, again, that's not my particular line of business, but, having a parcel of land that Metro would now own in this general area on Hamilton Church Road could potentially be used for one or many of those purposes that I just said, and some of the others that you've mentioned. So we are looking for ways between the properties that we have under contract and the things we understand from Public Works and from the community. We're looking for ways to try and solve. I can't solve them all. We're looking for ways to try and solve and hopefully make at the end of the day, a positive impact on the community through whether it be infrastructure improvements, whether it be setting the community up to have future public work, civic use spaces, or some combination of the two.
And thank you for that information. So based off of all the information that I recently heard from you, your development just doesn't work, right, for this area. I mean, we've laid out all the concerns, and and kind of informed you, when we talked back months prior, yeah, we referenced police presence, but that's only one issue that is impacting our district. There are many other things that were not discussed during that meeting, and now we're bringing those items to you. And if you are not able to provide certain solutions, what I was just hearing is, I don't think your development fits the overall need of this community.
I appreciate your thoughts there on it. If it's, those things don't happen without us. So I know it might not be the ideal or perfect scenario or solve them all, but I guess from our, again, just from our side, it's going pretty far, or it's going pretty far down the road to offer solutions to those. I know it doesn't solve them all, but that's, with the things that are in our control, we are trying to solve as many as we can from what we're hearing from everyone. But it doesn't, I can't do all those things and have, no density and things like that. I mean, there's just certain tipping points for all of those items.
Sorry, I got one last comment. How many times have you traveled Hamilton Church and Mountain View, or do you travel that often?
I would say weekly-ish. I mean, it's not my morning or evening commute, but I'm through that area. We've got projects, surrounding the area, so I'm through there a decent amount.
But as a business, not a person living in the community, correct?
No, sir, not as a person living in the community.
Thanks. That's all I need to know. Thank you.
Hey, just to dovetail off of, I believe that was Mr. White's questions, and I'm sorry if I've forgotten the number, but how many residents altogether, single family as well as townhomes, are you talking about putting on that corner?
Total is 114, 46 single family and 68 townhomes.
So 114 with about 2.5 cars per person is already overcrowded and needing a traffic light. And so it's not really a value add then, because you've compounded the problem. And I recognize you're trying to come up with the best solutions you can, but I think you need to just understand where our concern is that doesn't really seem like a solution for us. So that's why it's just extremely challenging. So I just wanted to kind of maybe add a little more color to that.
Yes, ma'am, I understand. And, no doubt that we will add more traffic to that intersection. But it's I don't want to say it's failing now, because that's not my position to say, but there's no improvement now. And as I said, my understanding from Public Works is unless they get the money, somehow, whether they can pull that out of the general fund or some other means, it's not going to get any better.
And so then that would be redirected to Councilwoman Lee. Councilwoman Lee, what is the position of getting us a traffic light? Since Hamilton Church last year was named one of the most dangerous roads in the city, what is the position on getting us a traffic light at that particular intersection of Mountain View and Hamilton Church? And Chris, thank you for that, but it really then becomes a Metro question.
So I had put this in the chat, and if you all have been following me at all, that's one of the things that I have been fighting for over 2 years now. So I'm told by Public Works that it has gone through and that you, in the next several months, should see some work on that. Now, it is not what it should be, because we had a meeting once before with Public Works, and they were going to expand the road, not do all of this stuff. But I had so many people telling me, no, we need a traffic light in that area, that I told them, well, while they are waiting for all of this money that doesn't seem to be coming, what can be done now? And so they're going to be doing turn lanes and a traffic light. And it's my understanding that we're supposed to see work on that in the next several months.
So in 2021,
I don't know. What they said to me was that I would see it in the next several months. But like I said, I have been fighting for a traffic light there for like 3 years. So all I can share with you is that that's every time I go to see the mayor and he wants to talk about some of his legislation, I talk about that. So hopefully they'll do what they said and we'll see something start happening in the next several months. I don't know.
Thank
Does the resident?
Cheryl wants to ask a question.
Okay, I hear two people, and I think I hear a gentleman whose voice I had heard before. Okay.
Can I speak? Am I speaking?
Go ahead, you're speaking.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for doing the meeting. I'm sorry I couldn't attend the March one. But I'm going to be very blunt and candid here. Sir, you're trying the best you can to make a bad situation a little better. But the fact is, I've lived here 29 years next month. This area has been consistently and continually shortchanged from Metro. We've been overpromised and under-delivered by developers. We are beyond stressed. I mean, if you try to get home on Mount View Road at rush hour, you're going to be backed up half a mile, 3/4 of a mile. I don't see how any of the solutions proposed do anything but increase existing problems, which I don't hear anyone who lives here saying we want this.
We don't.
And it's not personal. It's nothing against your business, but this is the wrong place at the wrong time, and that's all I will say.
I had 10 cars go past my house when I was trying to get the mail. I had to wait 5 minutes to get my mail. It is overcrowded, and roads are awful.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. There was a gentleman who was waiting to make a comment too, I believe.
Well, I just want to piggyback on what she was saying, that it's hard to get home. We keep seeing these developments pop up and no one's telling what's going on. We don't have any stores that's being built or any shopping centers or any parks. All we're getting is homes and homes and homes. And there's, eventually there's not enough room in schools. They're not building schools. I mean, so I understand the gentleman has land. I understand that, but can he develop something else? Or I know he says he's just into building houses, but can he build something else other than a house on that land?
I think one of the things that I'm going to have to start doing, and if I can remember, when I keep getting contacted by all these people who want to come in here and build, like that's Chris's job to do the development, do the building, and to do the houses. What we need is to also have the owners here when this happens so that we can say to them, okay, we don't want homes. Are you open to look to considering something else? And the owner could do that. Developers can't, because they're supposed to, their job is developing homes, like he said, and that's what, as he's trying to help us, but that's what he's doing. So he's not going to offer anything else. So the owners are really the ones too that may live someplace else that we need to be talking to about if they want to do something in this area.
Okay, and I know you said that you're a councilwoman, but I know you see you go there. I've been out here 18 years, and 3 years to get a stoplight up. Are they waiting for accidents, or do we need to go down there with you as a protest or something to get this done? I mean, I understand you're one person, but 3 years to get a stoplight? I mean, I don't know.
You know what? And if you want to send letters to the mayor saying we have been waiting 3 years, because I would go up there and talk to them. They know I have been talking to them for over 3 years, because I had the first meeting I had was down at this church that I went to that had a large group of people, and that's when I first started. So if y'all just want to send letters to the mayor saying that we have been talking about that stoplight at Mount View at Hamilton, and Council Lady Lee said she had done it, then I'm fine with that too.
Is the letter good, or do we need it in person?
Or maybe a petition.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let's look at that, because we're getting ready to start meeting back in person. Like on the 4th, we're supposed to be down at the convention center. So we're going to start being back in person. And on some certain meetings, there are public meetings where you can talk about different stuff. And that might be a good one for people coming and speaking up to talk about that. Now, I know they're supposed to talk on certain legislation, but I bet that there's a way that we could start out talking on something and then kind of switch it to something else. That might be a good organizing something to talk about and see what we can do.
Councilmember Lee, I think maybe 3 weeks ago when we met, I had asked you for a list of the things that you had been communicating to Metro that you wanted for this area, because we would be glad to start a letter writing campaign. Can we get that from you? So not just that traffic light, but all of the infrastructure things that, and I'm glad for us to put it in whatever priority we need to put it in. But if we can get the list of the things that you have been pursuing Metro for, I'm sure that our community, as many people that are on this call and responding to all of these emails about these different requests for development, I'm sure they'll be glad to send an email to the mayor and Metro Council about these requests that have been ongoing for several years. So if we can get a list from you of the things that you have been championing for this community, we'll be glad to continue to support that by reaching out.
I can get a list because some of it is already on the list of things that we want. It just hasn't been funded. There was another group that we talked about that was going to get a committee, and part of that committee was going to be improvements where they were going to ask people to send into them specifically, like a lot of Anderson Road, a lot of sidewalks are needed, but then I need specific addresses. So if that group will do that as well, that will be helpful.
If you
we are just now getting a stoplight at Cane Ridge and not Cane Ridge, I'm sorry, Burkett and Old Hickory. We had been asking for that before I got in, but I will tell you, I think they're using some developers to put that together, but that is just now getting there. And then that other stop sign, that other stoplight. So I will try to put together what I have, but that group, which you are in that meeting, in that group too, that we're going to get those small groups to reach out to people to give specifics, because I know we're supposed to be getting, and I'm sorry I'm taking up this other time, we're supposed to be getting some improvements at Laverne Couch and Maxwell, because there were some major accidents out there and they were supposed to be getting some there. But if you have a space like that, what I need you to do is say, okay, so we need sidewalks from Smith Springs Road to Anderson or to whatever. I need specifics like that, because that I don't have. I've just been saying, okay, look out here. We need a widen road, the roads and stuff like that.
If you give us your list of what you've been pursuing, we'll comb through it and we'll be glad to detail it as much as possible and then get it back to you to make sure it represents what you've been communicating. But we just need to start with your list first.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
How do you get in the group? How do you be part of this group that you guys have?
Oh, sure. If you just go on Facebook and join the page for Friends of D33 or District 33, that's just a small group of neighbors that have gotten together to help support Councilmember Lee and the things that she's doing for this community, and to also help her vet different developments that are coming to this community. So Facebook, Friends of District 33, or Friends of D33@gmail.com, and we can connect with you via email.
Okay. And does Mayor or what was over Miss Lee need to maybe come out and answer that with the community? They do it everywhere else. I'm sure we see it on TV. Everybody else gets a chance in front of the mayor or whoever to vent their situation. So can we get that over here? Annex a fast growing part of Nashville.
You know what? That's a very good idea. Let me see if I can set that up. That would be a great idea. And
Right.
Since you asked that, I was typing something in here. It's really tight. I'm sorry. Somebody wrote about that Laverne Couch and that Maxwell. They're supposed to be putting a four-way stop out there. They're supposed to be putting a red blinking light on the stop signs, and they're supposed to be putting, what do they call it when you go over it? It makes a funny noise. We talked to them about a traffic light, but they were like, that's going to take years. So they are supposed to be doing those other things, and hopefully within a month, those should be seen.
All righty.
Councilwoman Lee, you made a comment earlier that some improvement was already approved, I guess, for our area, for this area. Can you share a little bit more about what that's going to be, please? Thank you.
What I was talking about is the light that they said should be going up and we should see in a couple of months. The light, and then they're going to be putting turn lanes in and a traffic light at that intersection. That's what Public Works told me. That's what I was talking about.
Okay, so just I want to make sure I didn't misunderstand you then. That's already scheduled to happen regardless of what happens with this particular development.
That is what I was told by Public Works. Now, whether Public Works was talking with them and think that that's going to be a piece of it, I don't know. But I'm sharing what I was told by Public Works, because I keep bringing the same intersection up every time I talk to somebody there.
Thank you. And I just want to make one more comment. The property, the view that they are showing right now, if you look up at the about 11 o'clock position from their blue highlighted property, that one is also seeking to be developed right now. That's the Sami Syed property. And if you look at the 1 o'clock position from their blue highlight, yes, that one there is owned by 2 or 3 different development companies. And if you go to about the 3 o'clock position, that's where the Hobson Heights group, just a little bit outbound from your mouse, that's where Hobson Heights is wanting to build. When we went through and looked at everything in this area, every spot of woods that's there, except for what's the Corps of Engineers property around the lake, is owned by developers or being sought to be rezoned for development. There's just not going to be much left other than houses. We're eating away at any opportunity we have to preserve something for a different use. And Chris, again, that's not a personal thing, but there's nothing being set aside for anything other than houses. And I hope what you've heard is that the position of residents is that increasing density isn't a benefit to us. It just means us traveling through more density to leave the county and go either to Providence or Smyrna or somewhere else to find places that we can eat and do various things. We also are suffering with the infrastructure issues, including the infrastructure of the internet, which we forget, but which is becoming more and more important these days. And I'm really disappointed that you didn't come back with anything different than the first time around, because we brought up a lot of the same issues in the first meeting. I'd love to see something that really thinks outside the box. I'm especially bothered by having the asphalt circle the lake or pond on all sides. That's going to destroy the water quality of that particular water feature. So I don't know. I agree with the others who have spoken up and said that this is not something that I would support. It's too much density. The things that are being set aside appear to only be those things you would have to set aside to satisfy Metro's minimum standards anyway. Thank you. Can we hear about the other property on Murfreesboro?
Yeah, I don't, I can pull that up. You know, there's you're right in both. And I think I saw Mr. Stern's comment of, nothing's changed on Murfreesboro. That's in density. If that's the primary concern, to do the things that we're proposing to do between and as far as traffic improvements and donating to get that to the finish line, because that's my conversation with Public Works is, it's still not fully funded. So it sounds like we got a little discrepancy there. But from a density and unit count, to do these things that we're proposing to do, these are the what we need to be able to offer that back and make those improvements, and hopefully that does benefit the community. We can't cut the density in half and still have an opportunity to contribute to things like that. Building materials, all of those, I'm glad to work with. Intersection alignments and things like that. I'm glad to work with, subject to the professional engineers and their recommendations. But to think, for us, and I'm just speaking about Meritage Homes and our business, to think that we could take this thing from 114 down to, 50 units, and I saw an agri development comment in here. That's just, certain economics, they just, don't work for us. And to be truthful, I don't know who they may work for with, all the other expenses of developing property. I can't speak to other uses, retail, commercial, things like that. Just since it's not our business, I do know that, the retail people, the Starbucks, that kind of stuff is all, they're counting rooftops to make their decisions. So they want to see a certain number of houses in a certain area before they start making decisions to put investment into places. That's just, I'm around that business, but I'm not in that business. So I don't want you to think that we didn't make any changes to this, that we just sort of snubbed our nose at it. But I think in the 20 minutes that we had last time, we didn't get a chance to get into the traffic improvements and the potential for this property to get that project to the finish line. So I wanted to start there. But from just a general, it's too many units, we feel it's, for us and our business, it's what needs to be, what works here and allows us to help with the other infrastructure improvements that I've been speaking of.
Do you want to run through your remaining slides real quickly?
I can, yes. So there's some of the architecture on the single family. Hardy siding, and then, oops, sorry. And then here's both of, oh, that's our front load townhomes.
How affordable are these homes?
Price on the townhomes, the square footage ranges from 1,400 to 1,700 square feet, and the price would be from mid twos to low threes. And on the single family homes, it's 1,400 to about 1,900 square feet, just under 2,000, and the price is from the high twos to the low 290 to 330.
Can we use the universal standard? How much per square foot are you going to be selling these pieces for?
Up to me, if I can get my calculator. Oh shoot, John, I can't get my calculator working. I'll tell you. So the single families, oh, I just dollars per square foot aren't. So on the single family, if you take 320 divided by 1900, so 168. And on the townhomes, and I'm using just the upper end, 290 divided by the 1700, 170. So, you know, high 160s, 170s, and that's base pricing. You know, we certainly would expect to see that moving up, and typically what we see in our communities.
On the other end of District 33, townhomes are going for $230 a square foot. Why do you think the difference is? Is it the building quality or land costs? You're building in this end of 33 as well. So I would think you would know that information, but maybe not.
I mean, without being, you know, there's, as with any business, there's multiple factors. So it's, you know, without knowing the specific project, I couldn't say. I mean, there's raw land cost, infrastructure cost, I mean, the home building cost. There's so many different pieces to the puzzle. You know, I can't just make a make a blanket statement.
I understand. And let me explain why I ask. One of the biggest challenges that the greater Antioch faces is the demographic of the households in this area. If we are unable to broaden the demographics of the community, I've talked to a number of investors that indicate if we want the things that I hear we want, we're going to have to build some better houses, and we're going to have to get some higher prices for those houses, and to increase the value of our neighborhoods by pushing developers to make and build better product, thereby forcing the cost of the houses to go up. And this is actually a great time to do it because people are dying to buy houses, and they will move to where they can find a house. And if they find a higher end desirable house out here in Antioch, we may just get them out here at this point in time, where 5 years ago, we may have been difficult to market to that particular higher end consumer. And I know we're about to end, so thank you for your time. I am I'm extremely distressed that you have come back to this community for the third time on the Murfreesboro Road property without any changes based upon the information we have given you. That's kind of a slap in the face, Chris. And I don't know how they do it in Atlanta, but up here, that ain't the right way to go. Y'all are based in Atlanta, right? Meritage?
No, sir.
Where's Meritage based?
I mean, the corporate base is Scottsdale, Arizona, but we've got an office here in here. And we've got offices.
Okay, so you're in Arizona.
No, sir, I'm here. I mean, I've been here for.
No, I'm sorry. Your corporate office, where all the cash ends up, is in Arizona, and I don't know if you're a publicly traded firm or not.
We are.
Okay, so it ends up in Arizona and Wall Street. So I thank you for your time, Chris. I just don't see how we're moving forward in these discussions where you're not taking our input and doing anything with it.
Okay, let me jump on, because you are right, John. We are getting ready to go. Again, I will say, I know Chris is the developer, not the owner. So I guess he is presenting what he feels, and he has made changes on some things. I just like when people try and can we can tell them things. But since you are not, and I think it's very clear, Chris, even though you have tried to change some things, there's only so many things that you can do because you are the developer and you have done what the owner was looking for. What is the likelihood that we could be in contact with the owner, or maybe have the owner come out so that we can talk to them to see if this is worth them putting there, or if you know, or if he says, no, we're not looking to do something different. And I'm sorry, because I know that's not helping your company, because I know your company is for housing for residents, but to help the community, and maybe then, because you are building in this area, this is not just the only one. But so how likely would the owner be to come out here so that they could actually hear the type of things that the community is looking for in this area?
Are you talking about the current property owner?
Yes.
I mean,
Isn't he the one is he not the one that's making the major, the final decision about what he wants on that land, on that area?
No, ma'am. And I saw in some of the chat, the Burgesses, or the Burgess family, is the owner of this particular property, the 6103. We're under contract with them, so we, made an offer to them to buy the property, subject to rezoning, as somewhere in the chat was said. We, Meritage, this proposed plan, the mixture of units, the style of architecture, I mean, all of this is specific to us. So there's not this is, while I'm a member of Meritage, I mean, this is, our team is fully aware and of what we're proposing here. So there's not we are a kind of a full service. We buy the property, we develop the property, and we build and sell all the houses. So we're kind of a one-stop shop in residential construction. So there's not the owner of the property, the Burgesses, they're just looking to sell the property so they can, take their next step in life.
So if this didn't go through, what would happen?
Our contract would probably be canceled, and, the Burgesses would continue to look to sell the property so they could, capitalize on what they own. So, I mean, my guess is there could be some other user outside of our use. They could make an attempt at a different type of plan, style of plan.
Now, I will say one more thing before I get ready to cut off, because I did promise we'd get out of here, and it's 3 minutes off after now. I don't have that. And so what I think I will ask Rosie to do is to, because I think we have it electronically, that everybody that is on here to email out to them the different zoning areas, so that you can see exactly what can go up in what area. Agriculture, I think trailers can go up in there.
Ain't no trailers in there.
Okay, I'm sorry, John.
Yeah.
Okay, can I finish, please? Can I finish? Thank you. So I'm saying that to say it would be good for you all to look to see the things that can go in different areas. Then you can see when we talk about rezoning them to whatever, so that you will know what is allowed there, or what you're looking for and what zone that may need to go to, and that type of thing. So if some of you already have it and you don't want it, then that's fine. Tell me you don't want it. But for those others, as just an informational piece, I think I'm going to check to see if we have that electronically and send that out to the ones that are on here.
It would probably be easier.
Can I please just add that the Burgess family, I've already found their phone number just looking during the call tonight. We could totally reach out to them. If you will support the community's wish to not rezone this, we could then let the Burgess family know more of what the community would support, bearing in mind that this property has a lake on it and it's right across the street from a school and it's at an intersection. It could really be one where the housing value is brought up. Meritage is not going to be the person to build that because that's just not what they do, which is what Chris is explaining. So Chris's contract opportunity will stop with them when the rezoning doesn't move forwards, and then we can engage with the Burgess family and let them know what we would support on this piece of property that's obviously special to the community. Thanks.
If you would reach out to them, I think that is fine. I would love to have them to come on and then you share that with them since it is their land. I will commit that it is not moving forward right now. I will not put a blanket thing that says, no, I will never rezone that. But what I will say to you as what I have heard on here, there's not support, so I'm not ready to push that through or try to even put it through. But I think that is a very good idea to get the owners in to hear that conversation and to see if they will change their mind or have another feeling about what can go on there. So if you will kind of communicate with me and let me know when we get something, and then I can call them and send them something to ask them so it's formally if you want, and then we can set something up, because I think that would be a good piece. And I think that's what we kind of need to be doing to let owners hear before they just talk to see what can go there, but they'll know what the community wants.
I know we're trying to leave, but the owners are merely trying to sell the land, correct? They don't have any additional investment on what goes there. They're trying to separate from the land and get a value from that. So help me understand, guys, why we keep thinking we need to go back and talk to the owners about what they're going to sell the land for. Why do we think they care?
Yeah, the only reason is that they'll continue to search out, or actually developers will come and search them out so that they can find what they like to call the highest and best use. All that really means is the most profitable use.
Right, John. I completely understand that.
So what Twana, I think, was talking about is a different way of doing business, which is discussing potential more desirable configurations of the land with the owner before they sell, and try to walk through it in that fashion.
If they could let the potential buyers know what they're willing to entertain, then they wouldn't waste people's time like Meritage.
So, Council Lady Lee, do I understand it that both of these developments are put on the bookshelf for the time being?
You understand that I am not pushing either one of them forward for the time being. I have not signed any of it. So okay. I am not hearing right now the support for this. So, but I will say to those, I am always open for talking when we ask why do we want to go back and talk to somebody, because if I am selling something and I know that everybody in my community doesn't want apartments, then when people come and say, can we buy this land from you? We're going to put up apartments. I'll say, no, I don't want to sell to you. So I think that's why it's always good to open and let people at least hear. So
I think that's the seller's interest is in selling. The use is what the community has to deal with afterwards. But if that's the process y'all want to go through, let's go through it. But I think we need to think about the fact that they will no longer have a commitment to that land, and they may not care. They just want to sell. But you know, if that's what we want to do, let's do that.
Yeah, and we don't know, because like I said, if you were talking to me, I'd say something different, and I don't know if they just want to get rid of it. So if that suggestion was made, and if Tawana, you still want to do that, and I'll put it out there if y'all want to have a chat, and then if people want to get on, they can get on. If they don't, but that's where we are right now. And so it is 10 after. I'm hoping if you are on District 33, you should get a newsletter today or tomorrow. If you're not on the District 33 database, because the database is District 33 database. So if you're not on that, when I send out newsletters and stuff, I also do it on my Facebook. I will tell you, I am supposed to be having a meeting very soon. There is somebody else who wanted to talk about the Starwood property, putting something similar as what I was told, but without the industrial spot. I don't know exactly because I haven't met or talked with them yet. So once I do that, then I will bring it to you if it sounds like something that we may be interested in. I know we were interested in that whole piece about even though it was residential, we were interested in that, and then having commercial on the front. That was a goal before. So I'll try to listen to see what they have to say. I want to thank you all very much. It seems like we always, I try to tell you one-to-one, but we always kind of get into conversations and last a little longer. I hope you all have a very good afternoon. I want to thank you all so very, very much. And any of the new ones that were on, very, very much. And I keep seeing Wisdom Leadership Academy, whoever you are, please just email me, because I looked for your email and I didn't see it. So just send me another one maybe to Lee, the number 4D33@gmail.com, so I can see the message I should have seen for you, because I didn't find that. Okay, guys. Miss Rosie, are you still on there?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Because I don't know how to turn it on.
That's okay.
You're welcome.
And I don't know if you heard that I said I was going to try to get, if we have an electronic copy of the zoning, I'm going to send it to everybody just so that they can see what's under zonings.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I received that.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so very much, everybody. You all have a good night. Go get your dinner, and we'll be talking again soon. Good night.
Thanks, everybody. Be safe.
Thank you, Tawana. Was your dad okay?
Yeah, I towed him back behind the truck, back home on the scooter. It was cute.
And